So, based on what we said yesterday, do you remember something special that marked you very well?
What?
That marked you, that you kept in yourself like, this is seriously important for you to do? Is there anything you kept that was important for you yesterday? See well for me. Better ones, because I said a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
Well, you said that the hub, that was an intersection of networks.
Good. So you mentioned that. So when we connect many computers, so, yes, and that was the hub. I can see you are a visual learner.
Yeah.
You picked what was an image.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you remember?
The HTML. Hypertext markup language.
Perfect. Yes. And what do we use HTML for?
Is it for sharing documents?
Yeah. Yes. It is actually the language used to structure Word documents. So yeah. Word documents. So these are the documents that are actually shared through the web protocol, the web service, which is on the internet network, right? So the network is there, and then the web is like a sharing service on the network, right? And then the document to be shared through that service are HTML documents. They are structured using HTML. And since we want to learn how to create those documents, it became important for us to right now to start learning how to use HTML. So today we will take some time to explore HTML, to see how actually it goes, how it starts. So since we are dealing with documents files, it means in the first place we need to know how to create folders on our own computers.
Okay.
So this is the first requirement. The second requirement is that we must know how to create a file as well on our computer. Right? And the third requirement, we must know how to change a file extension. Change a file extension. So in order for us to be able to start working with the HTML document, these three concepts must be understood and mastered. Because the thing is, we are going to be creating files a lot and folders, arranging, organizing them in the same folders or different folders and so on. We might have images here and there. So it is important for us to know how to navigate inside our own computer so far. So that involves understanding your folders, understanding your files, and changing the file extension. And I'm pretty sure you already know that. You already know that because I asked you and you told me yes. Yeah. Right? So you can create a folder on your PC, right?
Yeah.
If I also ask you to create a new file, you can do. Now the challenge is to change the file extension. That's where a challenge can come. Or you already know how to do it. So which is normal. It is normal because computers, as we know them, when you have them by default, they do not present this to you easily. It's a bit tough to do it. So, and the reason why we need to learn this is this. When you write Word documents, when you are writing documents with Microsoft Word, right? And let's assume you call it a letter or letterhead, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the file is called letterhead. When you check that file in your folder, you see it just like this. You see the file like that. You see the icon here, right? This is the file's icon. Okay, then the file name. Right? So that's how you usually see on your PC. When you get it, you do everything. And you can see other files too. When you create, let's say you use Excel, right? Microsoft Excel, or any other software. Excel, you use Excel. So when you create a file with Excel, you will see that it will also change into like this, right? It will have this icon with the X in it. Let me take it. Good, like this. Can you see?
Yeah.
Good. So Microsoft Word, you will see this big W like this. Okay, so you see that icon appears when you create a file with Microsoft Excel. Let's assume we say a report, sales report. So let me name it sales. Let me align them well. So let's assume the file name is sales. So let's assume you have a shop, right? So every sale you make, you record it in Microsoft Excel, row by row. So I'm assuming you already have an idea of how to use Microsoft Excel. If you don't, let me know so that we can do some briefing quickly.
I can use some briefing.
Like on Microsoft Excel,
Yeah.
you need some briefing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Microsoft Excel, I think we should have it here, right? This is Microsoft Excel's Excel. Okay. Excel. So this is the software. You can look at the projector at the screen. So you see that's the name. You see the X I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So the particularity of Microsoft Excel is that the software allows you to work in what we call a table. So you can see it already presents us a table which has the rows and the columns. The columns are A, B, C up to Z and so on. And then the rows are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So that's the particularity of Excel. So it is usually used when we want to record things like in the table format. So sales, for example, when you sell tomato, you can say tomato, right? So I could say here, we sold tomato, and then we write how much we sold tomato. Let's assume 20 cedis, and we sold salt. Let's assume now that one was 15 cedis or so. So you can see naturally it appears in the form of table. So a file like this, when I decide to save it, save as, then I choose documents. I'm going to put it inside documents here. Alright. And then I find a place inside documents. So let me give it a name. So you see here, pay attention to this place. I don't know if you can see well. It is XLSL. XLSX. It's like this. What is there? It is like this. Book 1 dot XLSX. That is the end there. So you see, there's a dot here separating the name from something else here, right? Yeah. So that's what we want to talk about, and that's the extension we are talking about. So extension comes after the file name. You get that? So you notice when we are using Excel, you see the extension is XLSX. Good. So let me now save the file. Now let's open Microsoft Word and see what happens. So we saw the extension that Microsoft Excel gives, right? Yeah. So let's go and try Microsoft Word. So let's open Microsoft Word on our PCs. So I'm opening Microsoft Word here, and I'll try to create a new document just like that. And then try to save the file and see what extension does Microsoft Word add. Right? So let me do save, Control S. Okay, so I choose any document again. And then this time around, look at the extension it adds. It adds docx. So it gives the name, right? Yeah. Then it adds dot docx. You get that? That's what Microsoft is adding. Can you see that from one software to another, the extension is different? Yeah. And they still add all. None of them neglected the extension. They make sure they add that extension. So the extension is important in detecting one, what software was used to create the file. What software was used to create the file? That's what the extension answers. So that's the first purpose of the extension. It allows us to know what software was used to create this particular file. You get that? So anytime I see a file which ends with XLSX, I know it was created by Microsoft Excel. So let me write it in plain here. So the file extension allows us to know the software or application used to create the file, right? Create the file. So far, that's what we have found out. One. So far, we found out that the file extension is mandatory for all files. All of them have these extensions. Although you don't see it on your PC, but they still have it. And that allows us to know which software was used to get them or to create them. So, and to prove that, when you check in your folder, let's go inside any of your folders, probably your document folder. So here I will go to document. Let me see here. So let me click. So far here, when we look inside this folder, so you can see the icons. You can double click right now. You see the icons of these files. Look at this file icon. It has PS on it. This one too has PS. In his case, you see the extensions are shown here. You see the extension of this file is PSD. And you can see it shows here too. Look at this file too. It shows JPG. JPEG. We read it JPEG. And if I continue searching, I can see, let me go inside document. So we see folders here. Folders is normal, it's okay. So here we can see .pdf. You know the PDF files, right? Yes. Sometimes it will be like, I want PDF file, or send me the file in PDF. So this is what we call the format, right? So this takes us to the next point, the formatting. Formatting. So the extension allows us to know what formatting is used in making the file, and this is really deep. Right, let me book it a little bit. Give me some few minutes to come back on it, right? So we continue exploring. And here we can already see another file, which is a docx file, which is a Microsoft Excel file. Right? But all right, so we can see this is a docx, so a Microsoft Word file, right? So you can see through the extensions already, we can recognize what software was used to make these files. And the icons comes in to emphasize to, let me change the display into something extra large icons, yes. So when we enlarge the icons, we can see the icons to symbolize the software used to create these same files. Are we okay with that? You are getting that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the formatting. The reason why it is important for this software to always add an extension is the manner in which they generate the file the manner in which they generate the file is unique from one software to another, or there is a standard for every single extension. For example, the PDF extension, you can use Microsoft Excel to create a PDF file. You can use Microsoft Word to create a PDF file. You can use Photoshop to create a PDF file. You can use LibreOffice, any LibreOffice software to create a PDF file, and much more software to create a PDF file. So basically, the PDF extension is a standard of how to structure a document. It's a set of rules telling you, okay, if you want your file to be seen by other software as a PDF file, respect these rules. So any software that respects these rules can be able to generate that format of file. So the format, the extension, actually defines how internally the file was structured. That is why it is key, and it sends us to the third point, which is economy or business. Let me just write business. So the extension tool allows us to protect the file from being used by other businesses. What it means is, initially when Microsoft started with Microsoft Office Pack, the doc extensions, .excel extensions, and other things could only be created by Microsoft Office software. You get that? So if I have a file which is a .doc file and I have to send it to you, it means by force you must have Microsoft Word to open that file, forcing you to go and buy Microsoft software. And we have so many software like this, like Photoshop, for example. Photoshop files are .psd. These same files cannot be opened by other software of designing. So at some point you are forced to stick to the software, to the business of the company that created that software, right? So the extension can also be seen as a padlock of a business. So you and I will create this wonderful software that is giving us so much money, in order to make sure other people do not copy our ideas on how we generate our files. We don't want them to know how we make it. So we create a particular extension for our files, and we define how our files will be encoded inside in a way that if people try to open that file with any other software different from ours, it should never work until they buy our own. You get that? An example is this software called Business in a Box. Business in a Box. Business in a Box. Business in a Box, when they started early, around 2005 or so, or 2004, maybe, around that time, they were using Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel files that they embed inside their software. So over time, it could allow people to access their document, because the software gives administrative letters and contracts, and so the samples, the templates. So if you buy Business in a Box, you want a letter of admission, so you see the templates inside that software. So initially, people could copy the templates easily through their Microsoft Office that they have installed in their PC without going through Business in a Box. So over time, recently, I noticed they changed that concept. Although they still use Microsoft Word and Excel, but they have their own unique extension, which prevents people from being able to open their files outside their software. So that is why it is important for software to create files by adding these extensions. Now, why are we talking about that right now? The reason is also simple. Since the files that we use, our web documents, are also files, it means they also require an extension. Since we are also going to use them with the browser, we need to know what kind of extension can the browser open. So that takes us to the fourth option, which is the software that can open the files. Opening. So the extension tells us which software can open the file. If the software does not know the standard, the format in which the file was created, it can never be able to open it. It will always give you errors. Sometimes you open some files and it shows something strange. You're like, what is that? Right? Good. So we need to find out what extension or what extensions can our browser use, because our browser is our window to the web. Right? Our browser is our window to the web. We use it to browse the files. So we assume the web here is a big city. Inside like this. So to see inside, you need the browser to see the city. Right? So what files can this browser open? Since we know it allows us to access the web where we have so many files, so many documents. Once the browser gets those files, can it read it? And if it can't, which kind of format can it read, and which other format can't it read, right? So the basic format that the browser is programmed to know how to read is the file that ends with .html. Isn't it easy and simple? So we turn all this around to 4 on this. So any file that has a name and has a .html, the browser will be able to interpret it. So our HTML files, when we create our website using our HTML language, we are going to add the .html extension to those files every time we create them. At the moment you create it and save it on your PC, you will see that your browser, the icon will change into the icon of your default browser on your PC. So if you are using Google Chrome as your default browser, you see that the file will have the icon of Google Chrome. If you are using Firefox, it will change into Firefox icon. If you are using Safari, it will change into Safari's icon. To show to you that this particular file, you can open it with that browser. Right? So now, through this, we have understood that it is important for files to have extensions. And we found out why these files must have extensions. The most important part in all this for us right now is the formatting and then the opening. We already found the answer to what can open the format, the .html format, right? We already find out that whatever we create that has .html, we can use our browser to open them. So that one is solved. This one is the formatting. So what formatting should we make inside so that the browser will be able to interpret it? Because we said earlier on that the formatting is important. If the software does not understand how a file is formatted, it cannot open it. We say technically encoded, how the file is encoded. But that thing, don't worry for now. You'll get to that point. Yes. Take it as formatting, like give it like how the content inside is structured, right? By this word formatting, how the content inside the file is structured. That's the meaning of formatting. So in our case, we have the solution to open our .html files with our browser. That will be enough. Our browser will be able to open it. Now, how do we format the content of the file so that the browser can be able to interpret it and bring it out as we expect it? And that is using HTML language standards. Since HTML is the language that the browser will use to share web documents, so that language also gives us a structure that we can use when we are writing the document. It gives us a structure. Once we respect that structure, the browser will be able to understand the formatting we used. So defining that structure is actually the formatting we are making. Okay, let me come back to that concretely, right? What I'm trying to say is this. So let me clean this part. Sorry. So let me clean this part. I think that your challenge lies in the formatting part, isn't it? So this is the thing. Formatting is like, when we talk of fast formatting or for fast encoding, it's like human language. If you write a letter right now in Chinese, I won't be able to know.
Right.
I can't write it. But at the same time, if we receive a letter in Chinese, we automatically assume that it was created by a Chinese man. Because we can't expect a Ghanaian to be able to write in Chinese. So first of all, the letters form tells us who created a letter and who can read the letter. So number one, who created the letter, who wrote the letter, you get that? And then who can read the letter? You see the idea? So the formatting is actually what language did you use inside the content? What format, what content, how did you structure the content inside the document? That is the question. You get that? So in our case, if you write Chinese, I don't know any Chinese. I know they have some letter like this, some others like that, something like that.
Yeah.
I won't understand this. I don't know what it means. I don't even know how to write it. I'm excluded. I cannot open a file written in Chinese. But if you write in English, I will be able to read. So that's like PDF, a standard format that is known everywhere. You get that? Most people know how to format a PDF file. Most software know how to do that. If you write in French, yeah, most people do know too. So most people are probably capable of reading that and guessing from who it came from. You get that? So how you put what you put inside is what we are talking about here when it comes to formatting. You get it? It's how you put it, what you put inside, how you put it is important. So for example, if I continue to write this Chinese thing like this, I know this is 1 and this is 2, right? And I continue to write that. And I see another writing which is this way rather. I might ask myself, is this Chinese? Right? This one goes in this direction and this one goes in this direction. So this is the how. So one is what did we put inside? It's some strange language. That's the what. Then how did we put it inside is the direction we use to write it. So all these two, the what and the how, determine what we call the formatting of the file or the content of the file. So in our case with HTML, we know we are going to use HTML language to write. But how do we format, how do we structure it inside? Are we going this way or this way? This analogy, right? This is just an analogy, but this is to say, how do we write that HTML inside the file in order for the browser to be able to interpret it appropriately? So that is the question we are going to answer, right? So our challenge is to be able to format our HTML documents properly so that the browser can be able to open them easily and be able to interpret how we structured the document. Are you seeing the idea here? So the concern is to be able to write documents that our browser can be able to read. So in order to do that, we need to dig back to how files are created in order to determine what software should open them or what software was used to create them and how is the content inside the file structured. So that's the whole thing we said right now. So without wasting too much time, we'll give it a try and see how that goes. Let's try to create a file and then give it .html, right? I believe before we move, in your case, you won't see these extensions. When you are looking at your files, you won't see the extensions like this man's computer here now. His computer, you can see the extension because he asked his computer to show the extensions. By default, computers hide the extensions. That's why you see only the file names on your PC. Have you noticed that? You see only far. So we need to find a way of showing these extensions. Since we should go in the menu bar, go to Finder Preferences. I think the menu bar is here. It should be on top. Preferences. Then we do Advanced. Then we do Show All File Name Extension. You see that it is not active by default. So now you can see this file right now in this folder. The extension you show it is .x. You see the beauty.
Yeah.
So the next thing we will do is I would like you to be in this. You are here in which folder? Documents folder. So here I want you to create a new folder and name it website. So create a new folder right here. New folder. And then name it website. Yes. Enter to validate. Good. Now open that folder. Good. Now we'll use your text editor. What is the name of the editor here? Text edit. Okay, that is the name. Text edit. So open this software. So it will allow us to type the HTML. Let's close the Excel so that we can have space. This is the folder, right? So we'll keep our folder aside. This one is the folder.
Yeah.
This is the text edit.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let me close the Microsoft Word. Good. So we have the two. The text edit and then the folder. Good. So, text edit. To file new, right? So I want us to create a new file. Good. So this file allows us to type text. So Command A. Yes. So what I'm going to do is to increase the size. Increase that a bit. Increase the size of the font. Something like that. So that when you are typing, you can see it well. Alright, so the thing we are going to do now is to create a new file. You see, we choose this file software because when you choose it and you decide to say save, there's a save here, right? When you are going to save the file, you see it also adds an extension which is RTF, and that's not what we want. We want an extension .html. Otherwise, the HTML language we write here, the browser will not consider, will not be able to interpret it. You get that? So let me cancel. I think there's a way of forcing this software to change the type. So we go inside the file. Let's go to the preferences. Okay. Then we go open to save. You see? Go to the preferences of the text editor, go to open and save, and you can see add.txt extension to plain text. Plain text file ending. Okay, let's keep it there. Automatic. Display.html files as HTML. See, display HTML files as HTML code instead of formatting text. You get that? So if you don't enable that feature on this your text editor, it won't be able to do it. So these software are called text editors, right? We use them to type text, plain text. Okay. So the idea is we should be able to write like HTML. Okay. So something like that. Should be able to write it like this. And then decide to save it as .html. Let me try. Save. And then we change this into the HTML. So you see now it is showing file format, rich text document.
Yeah.
I can change that into .ht and I will give it a name. The name it, let's assume site. I will say my site. And we are going to save it inside documents. It doesn't give us the chance to save it inside the subfolder we created. Okay, here is it. So we'll save it inside the website. Save. You cannot save this document with extension at the end of the name. The required extension is use book. So the file is added here. You see, it has added the RTF. We don't like that. We don't like that. We want the HTML. So I'll delete the file. And delete as far as open here. So there are many other text editors. We have like Sublime Text, VS Code, IntelliJ. We have so many text editors like this. When you want to write a lot of code, you need these particular text editors to make it really easy for you to write. If they help you see how they color the text here, and so it makes it easy to find out what you are doing. So I'll open the text edit again. We'll go to the settings again, try to fix that issue. So we set this as plain text. You see the format, we want it to be plain text because we want to set how we format inside the document. Okay, we're using our HTML, so we don't want it to do any rich formatting for us. Now let's try to create a new file. And let's try to save that file and see the extension it takes now. So it went straight to our folder. Now you see it doesn't add any extension. It's up to us now to add the extension. So let me name the file my site .html and then press enter. It's created here. So we can see the file. And funny enough, it's not opening with the browser. It's not showing. If I double click, normally the browser should open. See? You see, the browser automatically recognizes no, this HTML file. It's my job to open this file. You get that? So let me close the file, and then I'll delete this file so that you'll be able to create yours, and then delete this one, and allow you to create one yourself so that I can see your way around. Okay, so now open the text edit again. This is your folder, so you keep the folder. You open the text edit and create a new file by going to file, new. Alright, so this is a new file. So we assume you wrote something here inside the file and you want to save it. So you go to file again. Yes, save. Good. Then you write the name you want to keep to the file. Name it my site. And now you add .html. Good. And you save. Now the file appears inside our website folder. Right? So if you double click the file, it opens with the browser. And you see the things are tagged inside. Exactly. Now try that thing I said yesterday, that the example HTML code I gave yesterday. So we close the browser again, or you can just close the tab. Now you go back to that file, the text edit file. No, not that one. We keep this one just to preview. So minimize the browser. Now this is the file, this is the content. So you can delete this one and write hello and go to the next line. Now that code I wrote yesterday, it was B, so you have less than sign, less than sign B, greater than sign. Then you write the open less than sign again, / B, then greater than sign. Good. And now you save the file. This time around you can just press Command S save the changes. Okay, now you open it again, the file again with the browser.
Okay.
Welcome to HTML. You just created your first HTML file.
Okay.
You just created your first web page. So every single website is made up of files like that. So we created one file called mysite.html. We could create another one called contactus.html. What that file will do is to contain our contact details.
Right.
So over time, we will link the two now with hyperlink text. So if you click from my site, you can go to my our contact.html and vice versa. So you can see you start navigating through the pages.
Okay.
Basically, that's how a website is created. That's all. You just created your first web page like this. So let's go through the procedure, the steps again.
Okay.
Since we are using text edit on your PC, it was a bit difficult to be able to change the extension into something we want.
Right.
So we had to go and tweak text edit and let him know that forget the formatting, we will do that ourselves. We'll take care of the formatting. So now once we set text edit that way, it says, okay, every time we are saving a new file, it's like, okay, I don't care, I will not add an extension for you. So we decided to add our HTML extension. Once the file is saved and we open the file, automatically our Safari knows that, oh, this is a website file. Let me open it myself. The Safari recognizes the file and then does the opening. That's it. Now, to test our HTML, we wrote a sample HTML, which is by using, let me get through the marker, by using John, so right, we wrote John, and then we did this, and did this. Now, the question you are asking me is, what are those two guys here? What is it? Right? Although we said this is part of how to format an HTML document. This is how to format a web document. A web document requires the use of this HTML code in order to respect the standard. Right? So, what are these guys? Why is it that we couldn't just say bold and then this guy will become bold? No, it won't work. Because the computer needs to start. Where do I start the boldness of the text and where should I end? So you get that? So see these guys as two partners who achieve one job. It's like two children or two farmers holding ropes, one at the first end and the other farmer at the other end, and they are measuring the land. Where does your land start and where does it end? So we need the first farmer and then the second farmer to hold the rope. So the boldness will start here and end here. If you don't put this guy and there's any other text after John, that text will remain bold again. So this guy will continue to be pulling the rope and pulling, and then everywhere will be bold. So at some point you have to say, stop the boldness here. So that's why they are like that. So we call them pair tags. And these guys are called HTML tags. HTML tags. So these are a pair of tags. So this is a pair of two tags, right? One pair, two tags. So these symbols we use in HTML to structure web documents. These symbols are called HTML tags. And this is the time for us to make more space on our board. We finally met HTML. We finally created our first web page. Right? We say web page because a website comes with so many pages after all. You see? And each one of these pages is a file that we have to create as software developers. Okay. So each one of the files must have its own code that we need to write that will define now how the browser will display its content. Right? So that's why we speak of web pages. So this is a one page. So this is a web page. It's like the book pages. But this time around we are on the web. So this is a web page. So another web page, another web page, another web page. So sometimes I will use the term web page to top of the file. So if this is your file right now, my site, right? My site.html. This one could be contact.html, right? So I could be speaking of your contact web page. I could be saying your contact web page. So you have to know now that, oh, it's talking on the contact.html file. You get that? So we can be using these terms interchangeably. You understand the concept here? So you can see that in the end, to have a complete website, you will have to create a set of files, each one structured in a way so that it looks different from one page to another page. Good. So now we had a taste of HTML by writing our first HTML tags. And that tag was B. And what this tag does is to make the text bold. So in order to structure an HTML document, we need to use these tags. And there are many in the world, in the ecosystem of HTML. There are many tags like that. Each one comes with its purpose, right? In your case, you wrote this in your document, right? Hello, then you did this, and you did this, okay? This is what you have in your file right now. Yes, this was, in your case, your name. Right? I wrote John here. Now, I would like you to replace this B by I. So you get this. So you replace the B with the I. Now save the changes by pressing Command S. So once the changes are applied, you can now open the file with the browser to see the result. What happened?
It's in italics.
It's italics. So it means there is a specific tag for every specific format we want to see. That's going to be tedious, right? Oh man, that's going to be tedious. You can imagine the work. Imagine you have to underline, you have to give colors, you have to, to format a document like a letter or something. It takes a lot of things to really make it look good. Trust me, very soon this will become like normal thing.
Normal for you.
And with the text editors we are installing, it is going to be easy to do. Okay? So you can see that we have to use all these tags to achieve specific needs. So it means in order to be able to format big documents or nicer web pages, we need to know many. Not necessarily all. We can't know all, but we need to know as much as possible. At least the common ones that help us to underline the text. Make a text bold, make it italic, draw a line, or so on and so forth, right? So let's go through that and see which ones we can use to do that. So we have seen bold already. We have seen how we can make a text bold. Talk, that is check, right?
Yeah.
We have seen how to make a text italic. That one too is check. Now, how do we underline a text? Right? How do we make a line? For example. So these are basic formatting we have when we write text. So to make underline, we use the U tag. So this is something you need to note now. When I say the B tag, right?
Yeah.
When I say B tag, I'm actually talking of this guy and this guy. So when I say U tag, it means when you want to use that tag, you have to do this U, and then write whatever you want to underline, and then close it with U. You get it? So when I mention U tag, this is what I'm actually talking about. I won't have to say less than U, then no, I won't have to specify all these details, right? So we use the U tag to do underlinement. And then for the line, we use the HR tag. And this is where I'll get. So go to the next line, try to create another text. For example, click say assign, right? Assign, like the signature, right? Assign, and then you make it underlined like this. Underlined, right? I was not expecting you to make it. Let me see how you wrote the code. This is so fun. I am proud. I am really proud. So now, the HR is to draw an horizontal line. So like a big line like this. Okay. So this one, a line does not have an end necessary. Right. Once it starts, it will go to from the start of the string to the end of the string and it will stop itself. Okay. So this one doesn't need you to open it and close it. All you have to do is just write it once like that and that's all. So anywhere you write this one, it will draw a giant line like this. Yes. Oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So now we have seen two categories of tags already. Yeah. The ones that go in pairs. So the ones that go in pairs, we call them the even tags. The even tags. Right? You know, this doesn't matter really, you know. No, you can keep it so that you know yourself. You can write it down. What I mean is, honestly, you might not even know that they are called even tags, but you can use them very well. Right. You get the idea? Good. The ones that go alone like this, we call them the odd tags. This normal English, anything that is odd is usually that goes in the divisible by 3, right? Yes. So we have the even tags and then the odd tags. So this is an odd tag or an odd tag. And then let me add another odd tag which is called a BR, break the line. So for example, you are writing a text sometimes and then you want to break the line so that the text will continue here. Yeah. So you place that BR tag here and then it will break the line. Did it show something? No. You use the BR, right? Yeah. Let me see. You might not see the result because your text is not big. Okay, write the BR after you see. Take it from here. And then write it after you see. And after that one. Good. You see? See? It's sent aside down. You get that? Yeah. They were in the same line. Good. So this is something you need to notice right now. You can see that no matter how you broke the line on your text editor, HTML, the browser continued to align them. Yeah. The browser didn't follow your next lines you press with the enter key on the text editor. Yeah. Have you noticed that? Fine. So that's why these tags are useful. Now the next tag we are going to see is the paragraph tag. Paragraphs are like common everywhere in any text. They are unavoidable basically. Yeah. Even if it's a text of one line is a paragraph already. Right? So how do you make a paragraph? In this case, since paragraphs have to show where it starts and where it ends, so it is important that we use even tags. And that tag is called P, just like paragraph. So the line is HR. We are done with that. The underline is U. We are also done with that. Italic is I. We are also done with that. And the bold is B. And we are also done with that. So the paragraph now. So we are also done with that. So in order to see how the paragraph works, you might need more text. Okay, so you can just keep it like that, and now we close it. Good. Let me see. So you can see that particular text will go to the next line. You see it, and it creates space at the beginning and then at the end of the text. So to create this idea of paragraph. So when you start writing bigger text, you will see how that works. So since we've seen that, let me practice and show you how to format a well-accepted web page, because we just threw in our text. There is a standard how the file should be structured, how you should align your HTML elements, how you should put them one after another, and so on and so forth. Right? So we are going to look at the basic HTML document structure that is needed to have a valid HTML document. In fact, HTML is so tolerant that even if you write it wrongly, it will try to give you the result. So you can imagine, for example, in this case, the document is still not valid. What I mean valid is up to the standard defined. Still, we get the result. So that's the thing with HTML. There's this freedom. So you see so many websites, people who break the rules of standard because their desire is beyond the standard, so they just go ahead. So we shouldn't be frustrated by that. But we will try, since our documents are not that big. So with the basics we've learned now, so you can close this file and then you create a new file. This time around, I want you to name that file index.html. So create a new file in our folder again, in that website folder, and you name that file index.html. So we go to text edit, you open your text edit, and then you go to the file menu, and then you say new. So you need to go through this process several times in order to get used to it. Now start by saving the file. So you go Command S, then here you name it index.html, index.html. So make sure it is saving it in our folder. Yes, it is there. And then that new file appears here. So since there is no content, even if you open it, it's going to be blank. So now we are going to work on this file. Right? So you follow me. You follow what I'm typing. I don't know if you can see the screen. I'm coming. Let me. Okay, so I will do the same thing. This is my text editor. So I will do save. What is this file? I don't want this file. I'll create a new file. You see, I am using Sublime Text. So to create a new file, I'll go to File, create new, right? And then I will press Ctrl S here. If I was on Mac, I will be Command S. But this time around, it's Ctrl S on Windows. Then I will find a location. So in your case, it's inside document. And you also have a folder called website. So I'm also going to create a folder in my case here. A new folder, and then I'll also name it website, right? So I'll go inside the folder. So I'm located inside the folder website. So this is where I will save the file. It's asking me here to write the name of the file. So I'll write index.html, right? So this text editor does not cause me troubles in the extension. It gives me the freedom instantly. Right. So that's why we're trying to get it installed. So I'll press save. Now if I go inside that folder on my PC, so I'll go inside documents and find website. This is the folder here, website, and then see the file here. And you can see in my case the browser, which is the Google, the Microsoft Edge browser icon is showing to show to me that it is going to be open with Edge. Although I can choose to change to open with a different browser, I can say open with, and then I can choose Firefox or Chrome and other things. But one thing is sure, I should open it with the browser to see the results. So I'll open it with Chrome here. It is empty, just like yours. Now we'll start entering content inside our index files.
Okay.
Right? So you follow with me. A well-written HTML document must have some basic skeleton. Okay? And the basic skeleton will start with this. Less than sign, exclamation mark, then doc type, like this. Right? And then we write HTML. Then we close with greater than sign. So what this line does is to tell the browser that, okay, from now on, from this line, henceforth, everything that follows, consider it and interpret it as HTML document content. We start structuring this file as an HTML file. So it is communicating to the browser that we open the file, right? From now on, everything that follows respect HTML standards when you are interpreting them. Good. The next thing is we insist again that this is an HTML document. So we go to the next line, we write our first tag that is called HTML. And we close the greater than sign. And this tag too is an even tag. So it means we have to close it. So we go ahead, we do this, and we write HTML. You can see the tag that opens is a bit different from the tag that closes. The closing tag has a forward slash in front of it. I hope we haven't passed our time. Okay, we still have some 5 minutes or so. In fact, we'll take some more 5 minutes or 10 minutes again because we wasted time earlier. Yes. Alright. So you see it opens like that and it closes. Right? Now every other thing we have to write has to be in between this HTML opening tag and this closing HTML tag. So it means from here you can just create space inside. Everything else we need to write will be in between these two tags. Like this. Right? So now we are telling the browser, okay, the document, the HTML document starts now. Right? We already signaled the browser that interprets this as an HTML standard. Right? Now the document we are creating starts now. The document we are creating starts now. So now we have the document, we are inside the document. The document too is divided into two main parts. Right? A part that is called the header or the head of the document. So let's assume it's like A4 paper, right? And then the body. We have the document head and then the document body. Now, even in normal administration letters and other things, the letterhead always contains what we call additional information to the body itself. Let's assume you are sending a motivation letter. Is it a motivation? Yeah, letter of motivation, right? When you apply for a job, to your CV, you add a letter of motivation. So in the motivation, you are going to say, okay, I'm a self-taught software developer with an experience of 20 years and so on and so forth. I've worked on so projects, and then I've been able to achieve that. I think I am qualified for this job. That's the message. Yeah. But in addition to that, you need to add some extra information, which is your name, your address, and the person to whom the letter is addressed. So this kind of information is called meta information. Meta information is a Latin word to say extra. Right? It's called meta information. But in our case, we are dealing with HTML. So we are dealing with tags. So what we are going to write is meta tags. Are you getting it? So we are going to write meta tags in the head part. And then in the body part, that's when we write everything we want our viewers to view. Okay. The actual letter, the actual content of the web page, the actual message of the web page. It should be in the body. Now, how do we separate that? Okay, we will just write that head part and we write only one meta tag inside. Okay, and we will not bother about the rest for now. So we will not waste too much time here for now, but we will take a lot of time because that's what people see. These meta tags are mostly useful for the browser, not for humans. Humans won't see it. So only one inside that they can see. So we'll focus on that particular one and use it. And then we'll now take our time in the body part. Now, how do we get these two separations in our document? So to do that, to tell the browser, okay, this is the section for the head, we use the head tag. So we write head tag, sorry, without E, and we close it as well. So you can see. Let me know. Okay, so we are now telling the browser, okay, we started the document starts here with the HTML and ends with the HTML, right? Inside the document, the head starts here and the head ends here. Now we need to indicate to where the body starts and where the body ends. So we use the body tag as well. Body, and then we also close that. So I'm giving two spaces in between the two tags. So this is the head tag section and then the body tag section. Are you done with that? Okay. Now, so anything we want our people to see on our page will be written in between the body tags, the two body tags, the opening and button. So everything else of the content of our page will appear there. That's where we are going to waste a lot of time from now on. You are tired, eh? You're back. Chair. Let's say you're okay. If you are not so that we find solution. So now inside this body, I want us to write hello and save it by pressing Ctrl S. Once done, we can go to our file again, open it with our browser. So I can see my hello above there, on top somewhere there in the corner. And can you see it? Yeah. So you see the hello? Yeah. Good. Now let's go to, there's something, check very well. You see, on top of my browser here, look at my browser tab. You see, it is written index.html on top there. Can you see it? On top of the tab. Let me show you. Open your browser, let me show you. In your case, you can see it here. No. Yeah, here. Right? Index.html. So the same thing I have over there as well. Index.html. Yeah. That part is important. Now look at the last course here. When you check the last course, you see the writing is different. It's custom text. Yeah. I wrote that text. So we can change that text. And you can see it is only proper to the browser. So it is a meta tag that can help us do that. You get that? It goes to the browser. It didn't come on the page itself. It went on the browser's tab. It is called the title of the tab. It is called the title of the tab. It usually helps us identify on which website we are browsing or which website are we on. So you can see on all these tags, you can see each one of them has a different title. Yeah. They even have these small images in front of them. So over time we'll learn how to add these images. So the only meta tag we'll learn today is the title meta tag. How do you put that? So we go in the head because that's where we put meta tags. So we go in the head we write a tag called title. Title, right? Title. And then you write in between the two title tags, in between like this, you write my website. So you write my website in between the two title tags. So when I say that, it means the opening tag and then the closing tag as well, right? Yeah. So when you are done, you press Command S or Control S on Windows, you save, then you open with your browser to see the results you got. So in my case, my title is showing on my tab. Did it happen the same way with yours? That's it, man. We made it. I am really super happy that we got to this point so easily. Yeah, I would say it so easily. And I want you will go through that again in the house. There you go. The first video, the yesterday video is going up right now. So you will go through this same process with me right now. I will give you an exercise on how to do it. And then after you watch this video, take your time and watch the videos. It will probably take you 2 hours or so. So maybe from now till night, you have some small time, you watch a bit, you rest, you watch a bit again, you rest. Make sure you are free in your brain and cool, you know. That's how knowledge sticks. Yes, so you practice a bit and you see how it goes.
You said it's on YouTube.
Yeah. The first one is already published on YouTube. It's 100%. So we made the heading one. So with the meta tag now we are done. So we can say we are done with the head tag part. We don't want to add anything there. That will be the standard. And this basic structure, you see there, this skeleton, you have to keep it in mind. So next time when I ask you, let's create our contact page. It means you are going to create contact with the HTML and you are going to have this automatically inside already. Before now, we go inside the body tag and start entering the particular content we want. So now, to make it beautiful, let's try something. Let's try to use these tags with learned, right? The first thing we are going to do is I will add one tag, which is the heading tag. Okay, we call that the heading tag. The heading tag will use H. Let me call it HX. This X is a number, okay, between 1 to 6. Between 1 to 6. So it can be H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So it helps us to have big titles. So when you write documents, you can see that sometimes you have to write a big title. Yeah. So these headings help us write big title, right? So this is what we are going to do. In our body tag, in between the body tags, we will remove the hello, okay? And then use one heading tag. We'll use H1 tag. Okay? And the content we are going to give to that H1 tag is going to be welcome, right? Welcome to my first website. Right? So this is it. Welcome to my first website. Let's check in our browser and see what we get. So you understand the process already. You save, right? You go to your browser, you refresh the browser if the tab is already open, or you open the file if it is not already open. You get the idea? Okay, so when you refresh, what do you get? I get welcome to my website, and it's big now. It's bigger than the bold. Good, that's the use of the title. So then after that tag, we are going to add another tag. So the next tag we are going to use is going to be the paragraph tag, P tag, and then we'll try to write a small text inside. Okay, you can write any charabia you write, right? So in my case, I'm going to write some dummy text that we call lorem ipsum. in your case, you won't get the text because your text editor is not that smart yet. So we need to find new Sublime Text. Okay, I'll reduce the text size, it's too big. Or let me write plain English so that it becomes interesting. So, once upon a time, I don't know how to write that in. Once upon a time, then it's in one word, right?
Yeah.
Once upon a time. Oh, no. Let me separate it. Guys, forgive me for not knowing how to write once upon a time. I will learn right now. I forgot, honestly. So once upon a time, there were 3 dogs that went roaming, right, in a dangerous forest without their master. So I just made up that text. You have a big paragraph, full stop. That's it. Once upon a time, there were 3 dogs that went roaming in the dangerous forest without their master. So try to get the text as well, so that we are on the same page. So once upon a time, there were 3 dogs that went roaming in a dangerous forest without their master. So let's preview and see what we get. You go to your browser. So this is my paragraph showing as a normal text.
Yeah.
You have the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I want us to do this particular format thing in our text. Since we have a paragraph, I would like us to, for example, the once upon a time, there were once upon a time, I want that to be in bold.
Okay.
The once upon a time should be bold. So we'll go in front of once and put the first B tag, right? We'll go in front of once, we put the first B tag. Where do we want the boldness to stop after time? So we go after time, we close the B tag. Then we go to our browser again to preview the results we have, so that we are sure we have not messed up things before we go forward. Yes. So I can see in my case, my once upon a time is really bold.
Yeah, mine too.
Bold. So there were 3 dogs. Let's make dogs italic. Okay. So we'll go in front of dogs. We'll write our first I tag. Go after the dog and close the I tag. So we have something like that. So the I tags will surrender or will surround the dog word. Okay? Then we'll go to the browser again to confirm how that works out. Yes, dogs went italic.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So let's go ahead and underline dangerous, because this is a dangerous forest. So let's underline dangerous. It is important. So we put in front of dangerous, so we put U tag, and we go at the end of the word dangerous, we close the U tag. Right. Then we go to our browser again to refresh, or we open our HTML file with our browser, and we'll see the changes. So in my case, dangerous is indeed underlined. Did it happen at your place?
No.
Okay, we are waiting.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's now, after this paragraph, let's add one line, one huge line. So we add HR to mark the end of the whole poem, our poetry. Yes. Then we can refresh the browser to see. What do I do? HR. I'm not see my line. It seems my text, yeah, I can see it on the PC, but on the screen it doesn't show because of the lights of the projector. So I can't see it there, but on the screen there, I can see the line showing there. Can you have the line as well? So do you have the same result as I do? Congratulations for creating your first web page. Right? That's wonderful. So this is the exercise I want you to go home and repeat. Right? Leave the files we created there. I want you to repeat this same thing. And if possible, create 2 or 3 paragraphs. You can find some text somewhere, you copy and paste. I would even prefer you type the text yourself so that you get your hands used to your keyboard. Right? Make 1, 2, 3 paragraphs and play with this basic formatting and see. One thing too I want you to pay attention to right now is I just want to underline, or let me leave that for tomorrow. I won't overload you again today. Let me leave that for tomorrow. Yes. So go home, create new file, call that one index 2. You start from doc type, HTML, and then you watch what we did, you produce it. After that, you create index 3 again, and this time around in index 3, try to create it from what you remember. You get it? Try to create it from what you remember. Go to the end without watching what you already did or what we already did, and then you finish. You preview what you got. Even if you miss so many things, so you now check if you miss things or not, or you got it right. Even if you miss things, don't change anything on that file, index 2 file. Leave that one. Take another index 3 again, create index 3.html, and repeat the same process. And this time around, try to remember the things you forgot in index 2 that you missed in index 2. Try to catch them in index 3. So in index 3, you can now waste time to try to find out, repeating yourself to see how you can keep this structure in your head. So you got that? Anyway, in the video, you listen to me again to remember how to go about the process again. Alright. So once again, thank you for the class, for your attention. I really appreciate your effort of listening to me and then following the steps. I really appreciate a lot. May God continue to increase us in much knowledge. Yes. Amen.